In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your thermostat with housing on your Mercedes-Benz C300. It's located on the front of the engine. We're going to remove our engine splash shield. I'm using an 8mm socket to do that. This is not original bolts. Use what you have. Should be one more on the other side. We're underneath the vehicle now on the driver's side. And we're going to unscrew this right here, and that's going to let the coolant out of the radiator. Make sure you have a drip pan below. I'm using my pliers just to get it started. Once you get it loose and you see some coolant come out, you can lower the car back down or go back up top and unscrew the coolant cover off of the reservoir. And that'll release the pressure and it'll come out much quicker. This is the cap. We're at the reservoir. We're behind the strut. You're gonna release that and your coolant will come out much quicker. Just make sure your engine's obviously not hot before doing that. And then you just let it drain. We're going to remove this cover first. You're just going to pull up on it and set it aside. And now we're going to remove these two airflow tubes. Ours are not correct. Yours should just unhook from here. And right here is another tab where you'd push in and pull this off. Do that for the other side as well. Again, ours is broken. We're going to use a 17mm socket, and we're going to put it right here to take the tension off the belt. Get your socket on. Once you're on, you're going to push down. And we're going to slip the belt off. Release that. And take it right out. Looking at the new part, you're going to see that there's two holes for bolts and a connector. It's positioned like this, so you know where to find your bolts. We're going to disconnect this connector, and we're going to take the hose off first. Let's start with the hose. Pull this down, lock it on this little tab, and remove your hose. Now we're going to disconnect our connector here. We're going to push this down and unlock it. Just separate that down. And then we're going to disconnect the connector by going push it forward towards you and then pull the connector off. After you remove the connector, you're going to take it out and put it on top. Get it out of your way. We're going to use an E10 socket for this lower bolt. and an extension. And we're going to loosen it. Remove your bolt. For this top bolt, we're going to use an 8mm socket and an extension with a 1/4-inch ratchet. If you can get a Torx bit bolt, an E10 in there, feel free to use that. I don't have one that's skinny enough, so I'm using this. Make sure you have a drip pan below to catch any coolant that may still be in there. We're going to remove our bolt, set it aside, and now we're going to break free our thermostat housing with thermostat from the front of the engine. It's important to put a rag inside so you don't get any debris in there. And just a side note, never use silicone with a paper gasket. It just makes such a big mess. And we're just going to pick all this off and then use a razor blade to get the rest off. I prefer a plastic razor blade if you can get away with it, especially when you're dealing with aluminum. But if you need to use a real razor blade, that's fine too, as long as you're super careful and you don't make big gouges. So clean this up as best you can, and then we'll be ready to install. Just get the remainder of this off. We're almost there. After you're done cleaning the surface, you're going to remove your rag. Make sure the surface is nice and dry and clean. And now we're going to install. To do that, make sure your connector's on the driver's side. And your O-ring is on the thermostat housing. And your paper gasket. You're going to slide it into place. The O-ring should go in. Now we're going to put our bolt in. I'm going to start with my top one. If you have a hard time starting that bolt, you can use your socket. Once you get that bolt started, you're going to get your lower one started. Do not tighten them down until they're both in there pretty good. And now we're just going to go back and forth from bolt to bolt so that it goes in straight. And seats properly. So we're just going to keep going back and forth until it's bottomed out, and then we're going to torque these bolts. We're going to torque these to 18 foot-pounds. Again, I'm using my 8mm socket because my Torx bit socket does not fit in there. Let's torque our bottom bolt. I switched over to the Torx bit socket. Now we're going to put our wire down, get it in between the thermostat housing and the oil filter. And now we're going to plug in our connector. Line it up. Make sure the locking tab is not locked. Push it in. Make sure you hear that click and then lock it into place. If you have a lot of corrosion here or debris, you can use an emery cloth and just clean that up a bit. Just don't get your O-ring. Wipe that down. We're going to use a tiny bit of silicone paste on that O-ring. And now we're going to put it in. You're going to get it started, and then you're going to push down on your spring clip here. Line it up, push it in. And once you're fully seated, you're going to push this back and lock in the hose. Wiggle, make sure it's in there tight. Now we're going to put our belt in. So drop it in, and I'm going to start over by the power steering pump pulley over here. Just let it rest low. And we're going to put it up on the top. It goes right across on the top. Get it on that pulley. And now we're going to go low to that alternator down there. Now we're going to start going up into the water pump, below the idler. Over to that tensioner. Take it off the tensioner, put it around the crank. Now we're going to put our 17 millimeter onto this tensioner. And we're going to go down and slide it onto our tensioner. Before letting go, you're going to make sure the pulleys, you have the belt on the pulley correctly. Give it one final check before you release it completely. You don't want to ruin your belt by putting it on a little off. All right, we're good. Now we're going to install our airflow tubes. Notice where the curve is and line it up accordingly. And then push it onto here. Yours should line up, ours doesn't. Do the same on the other side. Make sure you put your tube back on. Slide it on. And now we can put our last cover on. There should be 2 clips here. We only have 1. And there should be 2 grommets that fit into these 2 spaces. Line things up. You're going to see 2 slits here that fit into that groove. Like that. Should snap into place. Now we're going to put our coolant in. Make sure you use whatever the manufacturer recommends. We're going to put the coolant in till about here. It's going to guzzle it up. And once it stops to about here and it stops guzzling, you're going to start the vehicle. Let it run for a while. Put your heat on. Let it warm up enough so the thermostat opens up and you have heat. Once it opens up, it's going to suck in the rest of the fluid. It's going to burp a little bit, and then you're going to top it off at the end. All right, so we ran our car. It's nice and hot. We topped off our coolant, and now we're going to put our cap back on. Tighten it all the way. To install your engine splash shield, you're going to put your flap inside the bumper. Position it into place and make sure you have this lined up with this. Once you're there, you're going to install one bolt to hold it in place and then install the rest. Now you can do your two side bolts, one on this side and one on the other. And now you're going to put those two in on the other side as well.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.